guys, welcome to the summit. And here today we're interviewing Ray Doctor. He is a psychologist and a breakthrough relationship coach, taking ordinary relationships to extraordinary. He provides modern solutions for modern problems so you can thrive and feel a deeper purpose in your relationships. He has a doctorate in clinical psychology and practices in Santa Monica, California. Ray, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
I gave you have this short bio there.
Yeah, thank you. I have read page-long bios in the past, and they're really, really long, so that's great. Thank you.
Well, see, originally, why not to say, Katie and I started a second ago, and this was take two because she didn't have it in front of her, and I wasn't prepared. She went from saying, "Hey, Dr. Ray," then boom, asked me a question. I'm like, whoa, okay.
I have a cold. I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us today, especially due to some technical difficulties. So if it's all right, I'll just jump into question number 1.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So with regards to resolving conflict, how does one bring up the tough questions and, without being argumentative or mean? Because I know sometimes, we women, we get frustrated. And instead of sometimes, asking a question about something without seeming confrontational, it can sometimes come out, a bit negatively, a little bit more confrontational than in a loving way.
So I can answer that. So since I'm a man and I have had this experience before, is that I'm going to try to wrap my mind around this a little bit more, kind of because I can read underneath your question a little bit. So I guess a woman doesn't want to come off as a nag. They also, what comes out of their mouth is not really what they intended at first. That meaning that maybe it's not thought out what they wanted to say, and then they end up having a negative response. The man gets defensive and so forth. Also, a woman doesn't probably want to say something and make a man feel emasculated. And the other thing is when a woman brings something up, there's a tendency for men to feel like, oh, God, what now? Can't she just appreciate me? You know what I mean? So did I nail something there? Is this kind of, so those things? Okay, all right. So first off, well, the thing is that you said, how do you avoid conflict? So I think the first thing to do is to be aware of what is it that, like say if I were a woman, what do I desire the most? What do I desire in my heart? Like, what is it's like this, imagine being a woman, where you could be one. And you are, just say you're primarily more feeling-based. I have this feeling that you are, for example, you can say, I have this feeling that we're not spending that much time together. And you say that to your boyfriend or your husband. And the man says, you realize that we have spent every weekend together, including Wednesday, and he's given you exactly like a calculated time of how you're not correct. And so you feel dismissed. He, in a way, might feel like he's really working really hard to spend that time. So that would just be an example. But that word and how it's prefaced is, I feel like we're not spending that much time together. Where it might be the times that you are with this man, he's not present, or it doesn't feel like quality time or something like that. It is really hard to put together a question or bring something up when you're in that complete feeling base. So the first step is to be able to feel into what is it that you really feel into that, and then kind of go into left brain, be a little more logical, is what type of outcome you would like. What type of, and how would I word that to elicit that? And that would be something that's well thought out before you bring that up to him. I know in a moment, if you're out at dinner, it can be really difficult. But it means practicing communicating from your heart as much as possible. I've used this example so many times. There's a difference between asking a man, hey, go chop me some wood, to, honey, I'm cold. And hopefully the man's, knows what that means. And there's this call to action. But I feel as though that sometimes there's this buildup with women.
Yeah.
And women have
bubbles up and then it just.
And again, this is a generalization. This has been my experience, and I've seen it with other people, where they allude to something, Okay, and so the man never gets it. To the point when you finally feel like you want to speak up, you're already angry, maybe resentful, and you feel like he's like stupid or something. I'll give you an example. There's a friend of, she's a friend. We dated a little bit, and it ended up just turning into a friendship. And I had written my giveaway book, which hopefully this summit it'll be ready for everyone to receive. It's really amazing, and I had it edited by someone who English was not her first spoken language, and I didn't know that. And what I did was take it. I just figured it was correct, and there was not a lot, but there was typos. So my friend, instead of just pointing it out and saying, "Hey, man, there's a lot of mistakes," it was, "So, is this the finished copy?" And that was the first thing. I said, "Yes." She goes, "Oh, are you happy with it?" It was like 2 emails or something, rather than saying, "Hey, there are typos you need to look at." Now, I know if I think she felt as though that I was happy, I was proud about it, or whatever it was, she didn't want to blow my bubble, but that's how maybe she would experience feedback. And so, like for example, a woman might not confront another woman about a problem. She will probably communicate in ways to get more what she wants in different ways and not hurt the feelings of the person never gets it.
Yeah, she's beating around the bush. Yeah.
So I see what happens a lot is that these experiences that women have with men, they're there early on, but you're not saying anything. And if you do, it's beating around the bush. It's early on being able to communicate that with as much love as possible, because in the earlier stages of the relationship, there's less tension. There's no buildup. It's a now moment experience, meaning that he happens to do something. I see women being very accommodating. Oh, it's not a big deal, but it ends up building and building. A great way to kind of describe this is like, here's my phone. I'm holding. It's not really that heavy. Here's a case for my glasses. Here's a flash drive, and here's a piece of paper. Okay, all right. So, is this heavy? No. But if I were to hold this for probably even like 5 minutes, this is probably like 20 pounds.
Right.
So it's waking up every day with not all these things on your mind that pulls your attention or unspoken about issues. It's being able to say, and it's not nitpicking every time. You still go the process if it's worth it. If it's just about me, is it a projection, whatever it is. But it's being able to look at this and go, hey, this is something that's come to mind that I would like to address. That lightens the load. Now, in the early stages with a man you're starting to date, if he runs from that, he's going to run from the bigger things later on. So you might as well do some weeding out in the beginning and speak your mind and be expressive. That's another way to weed out low-quality men.
Absolutely. So communicating from the beginning, the things that you are, liking, not liking, without being, rude or mean, which is really obviously easy to do in the beginning because it hasn't built up. Once it's built up, what is that you're drinking there?
It's my swamp water. I just realized how big this must look, and this.
It's just like this big
it's
thing.
This big jar. I know. I saw you start laughing. It's like I go, this thing's not like a coffee cup. It's my green juice, and
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Go ahead.
Looks good. Yeah. So when you're not communicating, all it does is it adds to your load, like you said, builds up, and then it explodes. So just communicating clearly in the initial phases seems like the best thing to do. Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. So let's see. So attracting one's ideal match. How does one go about doing that?
I think most people want to attract a 10, whatever that means to them. I don't think it's based on movie standards or movie star standards.
Right.
So how are you showing up as a 10 in your own life? So you attract your equivalent. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And we all have sabotage relationships. We all have met men and women. We're like going, oh, it's too good to be true. Those thoughts are real, and those, even if you say it once jokingly, it's there. it's knowing your value and what you really want, and that's how you attract a high quality person. It's really about becoming your equivalent, being that reciprocal. Like quick story, quick examples. I remember when I was working on my dissertation, and I decided to go ahead and start dating again, and met 3 women. And all 3 women, I thought, man, these are like outstanding women. All the 3 women were not available in some shape or form in different ways. And I wasn't either, because I was really working on this dissertation. I wasn't in the best place. I wasn't feeling good about myself at the time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you're a permanent way. Like we change. You can, like, someone can be watching this summit and then have an insight and go out there and meet someone. You don't have to do a bunch of hard work. It's not like you. So many people are on this path of like self-discovery, self-help, and thinking that they have to do all this work. And in a moment you feel really good and magnetic, you attract. You're reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So show up as a 10.
Show up as a 10. It's a lot of words I put in. Yeah. It's
be what you want.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's so funny about this conversation is like I feel kind of like more the feminine character. I'm like blah 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 blah, and you're kind of in that masculine. Go, oh, so just be a 10, like giving the bullet points.
I'm trying to be logical because, like I said, I had a little too much NyQuil today.
That's all right.
But thank you so much for being on this summit, because you're providing so much amazing content right now, and I really, really appreciate it. I know the audience is going to as well.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so attracting your ideal match. So once you have your ideal match, what things can you do to keep this person around? Because I know, like you said, sometimes people have these moments of, where they kind of have an epiphany. They go out and they meet some really great person, but then things happen, and maybe they're not in the same mode later on, and then their partner becomes, less interested perhaps, or something happens and they move away energetically. So what can one do to keep themselves in a 10 mode, keep themselves, keeping their ideal match around?
That is being that person's best option. And that is, if you're feeling amazing before you met this person, why would you change doing the same things? Mm-hmm. Unless it was like going to a bunch of singles bars and getting drunk and picking up on people. But I'm going to give you a short. I did a video on this called like how to be someone's best option, and I think I went through the whole phases of, the 3 levels of types of relationships, and why not share it here? So, first stage is it's physical, it's primal. It's it's the macho jerk, maybe the submissive housewife. There's no boundaries. There's a lot of jealousy, and it's just very earthbound. There's not much more to it. It's very primal. We all go through that phase as children. There's the victim, the victimizer, and whatever. It's the human animal. That relationship, is where you're going to always need the sex. Is there going to be enough, because it's kind of connected to the. And it's kind of it can be addictive. That's in that first stage is where people get addicted to porn. There's jealousy. It's just you're never satisfied because you're not connecting to the human spirit. It's just very primal. It's very animalistic. So, and you can't really grow anything together because there's always kind of fighting. It's kind of chaotic. Just think of like couples on the Jerry Springer show, for example. Okay, you have that, or a lot of reality. Now there's like this reality TV, so just see how the couples act out, Like, the Kardashians, nothing against them, but that would be an example of some of that, just very primal. Number 2 is the intellectual relationship, and that's where you use the human intellect to control the human behavior. And to step up, it's where you create boundaries. It's where, couples try to have commonalities. And so, you're not fighting, you don't get hurt. A woman might not necessarily need a man because she's developed some of her masculine qualities. A man might not need a woman because he's embraced some of his feminine qualities. But, people come together to co-create. In that type of relationship, there's like complacency. They're pushing down even some of the passion. Also, that their sexual polarity is not as strong because they're not really connected to that first stage part of themselves. I mean, that kind of where there's that passion. Also, in that intellectual relationship, it's still kind of more in the head. It's not really as full as it could be. And that relationship can be like one of those relationships that turn into a roommate situation. There's no passion. It's like you've created a relationship. There's first, in the moment you first start dating, there's the initial attraction at first stage, but as you start building things and you create like kind of a safe place, you both are not growing. So the things that you have in common are what creates a compatibility. It's the differences that creates passion. The differences that create passion. So the third stage is the source relationship, SOURCE, source relationship. And that's the one that's connected to your higher calling, spirit. That's where you'll cross boundaries for the sake of love. That's where you're connected to the first and second stage and third stage, where there's no ceiling, where you continue to grow. You know that you could potentially outgrow your partner. You don't, and you also want your partner to go learn and try new things because you love her or love him, because you are connected to this flow of like who you show up on the planet. When you make love, you know it's a process of really making each other the best people as possible. It's not this me in a first stage. It's not this second stage of trying to avoid confrontation. It's being real. It's connected to the human spirit. That type of relationship is the most passionate relationship. Those relationships, you rediscover each other all the time. It's kind of like, I mention my parents a lot. My parents are a lot older, and so they're always trying new things. My mom still on Wednesdays drives like 70 miles to go do karaoke with her friends, and she's 81. She's not she doesn't feel obligated to stay there with my father. My father does his things, and then they co-create together, but they have their own lives. They're still fueling each other with new insight. Imagine us like being in tribes where it might be a man going out and hitting drums with a man, and women going out into the forest and dance with the women, where you're still connected to your true sexual essence and who you are and how you show up. And then when you come together, it creates that polarity. You want to continue to do that. Just saying to your partner, I love you, I've been here a long time, I love you, that doesn't necessarily keep it together. Time doesn't keep it together like in a passionate way. All these, even amazing sex doesn't keep it together, because if it's in that first stage, primal, there's still going to be this part of, at least a woman, it can get so much better. Because they just want to have that enlightened sex. Yeah. Genital sex, no matter how good it is, for a man and woman, can become very boring. Very monotonous. If it doesn't expand to what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I love what you said about, so reconnecting with the self, and also reconnecting to one's, sexual essence, right? Because essentially, when we're not being successful in relationships, it's often, what am I not showing up as? What am I not giving, right, in a way? And what you're not giving when you're detached from yourself is, you're not really showing up in the relationship, right? Yeah. So I love that, basically saying, go out and connect to what the essence of who you are and what you enjoy doing. Like your mom, who loves driving 70 miles to go do her karaoke. That's a part of who she is. If she gave that up, might she be might she be showing up less in the relationship, or showing up as a less interesting partner to your dad? There
you go.
Right?
Yeah. In a way, it's like she's not being captured.
Yeah.
It's not playing games. It's about being your own person.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the dance. That's beautiful. I love that. So another question for you.
Can I call you on something that's in a compliment? Okay, so
sure.
Here's Katie right here, and she's not feeling her best, and she's got this great smile, and she's willing to be vulnerable and take chances and whatever else. It has this kind of underlying confidence to it. It makes you seem very like a neat person, like fun, like you're not so calculated. Like when a woman is really calculating, it has to be right. A masculine man, a high quality man, is like thinking, how do I fit into that? Like, I'm supposed to be one in my head.
Yeah.
Hope she'll be in her heart. And it doesn't mean that it has to be one way or the other. And when I use this masculine, feminine terminology, it doesn't mean like one is better than the other. But think about this for a moment. It's like if I'm a high quality man, I'm probably working. I probably have a purpose.
Yeah.
And so that when I get done with work, I would like, when I connect with my woman, I want to spend money on her. I want to do things with her. I hope that she's lighting up. And I want to hear about her mistakes. I want to hear about how she tackled life. And she's caught up with just trying to be perfect and right. It blocks her heart and also disconnects us. Mm-hmm. So women really don't have to work if you want to be the feminine character to attract a high quality man. We recognize that. In fact, in this culture now, you know, a lot of that's missing in a lot of women. You know, we desire that.
Yeah.
You know? And yes, there are a lot of men who you are, you know, you're opening up your door, you're juggling things, and a man walks by, he doesn't help you out. It's like, what the hell, you know? Yes, there's a lot of men I mean, for God's sake, I was at the Apple store, and I saw these three guys just stand there, and this woman was trying to open the door, and she had a baby stroller. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the fuck? And I walked over there, I opened the door, and she's like, thanks, look at the guys. And I was in this judgmental way, and I was like, you fucking millennials. You know?
It is, though. Oh my God, I was at the airport over the weekend, and that kept happening to me. Like, some guy cut me in line, and then another guy almost tripped himself getting past me on the escalator when I had bags. And I thought, you couldn't kill me. But,
so there are those guys, and I also come to deeper understanding, like, they are clueless, and I'm here as a big brother to maybe guide them. But they exist, but there's also a lot of guys who are like, want to carry your bags.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thank you very much. You know, you just reminded me of a story that a friend and mentor shared with me that when she is feeling not so great, sometimes she literally allows herself to have a tantrum on the floor. And now she's in a relationship with someone that she's engaged to, and she says, I can do that in front of him now, and he actually thinks it's really cute. So she shows up completely as herself, 100%, 110% every day, to the point where she can throw a tantrum on the floor in front of her, fiance, and that's like their thing. You know what I mean? He thinks that's fine.
And I would say probably business-oriented women or women who are really controlling or really feel more control in their masculine will watch this and say, so I have to act like a child or a ditz? No, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. It's that when you are open and vulnerable, we men who are masculine know where we fit. And you might say, well, you should be able to. It's energy. It's equivalent to us opening up the door and you saying, you don't need to do that. It's just like an energetic block. So the way that when a woman is really being raw and real and so forth like that, there's also passion in that. It's different than us. And in ways it allows us to be the container for that. Like imagine us being the tracks and the train being the feminine, you know? And they complement each other. And it doesn't mean that it always has to be that way. I mean, I play the feminine character in some aspects of my relationship sometimes. In fact, my girlfriend is taking me away and doing a surprise for me on my birthday for 3-4 days. I don't know where we're going.
That's so cool.
You know, I'm allowing myself taken care of, which is an interesting experience, you know, for me. It's like, whoa. And so there's an example. It's okay. We can switch and play roles. It's just how do we energetically come together and how do we not repel each other? Because, you know, I don't know why I'm going to this. Why not? Okay,
yeah, so just go there. Absolutely.
I've said the word F-U-C-K twice in this call already, I think. So,
it's fine with me.
Milton Erickson, who I feel is probably one of the best therapists of the 20th century, and he was just amazed in the way that he worked with clients. And he had this real, you know, he had a reputation that was just unsurpassed. And this couple, they were professors, and they couldn't get pregnant, and they were timing it. You know, they would do their sex or quickies. You know, when she was ovulating and all this stuff, and she just wasn't getting pregnant. And this is during the 1950s. So they went to go see Milton Erickson. And while interviewing him and talking to him, they had this excitement that, that he's going to help us and whatever. And he gathered kind of what was going on with just them both being in their heads, and that something energetically had to change.
Yeah.
And he was one of the radical therapists. Other like Jay Haley and other people, Virginia Satir. There's a lot of people came from that school of thought of like really changing the state. People before Tony Robbins, it really was changing the state.
Yeah.
And he said, he goes, this is what I want you to do. Because, and they were Christians. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I want you to fuck for fun and pray to the devil. And they got pissed. They left.
Yep.
Within 1 month, she was pregnant.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have no idea how that maybe relates to our story right now.
Embracing.
But it's about breaking the states. It's about how in order for there to be polarity, there has to be yin and yang. There has to be that flow of energy. There can't be the stuck energy of two people in their heads, which is, it's not you don't want a relationship that's like an analytical discussion. Like, what do you think about that, Martha? I don't know, Bob. You don't want to have a therapeutic relationship. Right. Sometimes it has to be being a raw asshole, Bob. And Martha's like, sorry I hurt you. That's what creates that passion. It doesn't have to be dramatic. And this leads to, or this kind of can, I guess you say, piggyback off of the original question you started with. Mm-hmm. How do you be non-confrontational? My answer to that also is, do you also want to put yourself in a box? Because the thing is, again, is you want to be able to be expressive. Yeah. You want to have that passion. My parents have been together for over 50 years. They don't have a bunch of drama, but they don't kiss each other's asses.
Yep.
They don't, and they're growing, they're learning. My dad's 90, my mom's 81. They're still learning new things. They're very, very alive.
Yeah, I love that. And I love when you say, too, not putting yourself in a box either. It's not that one should never get upset or never, yell when they're angry. It's just, it's understanding that, the interactions of everyday, relationships, I know. There's like goof on the bottom. Sorry, I just noticed that.
It looks probably, because the way this camera, it looks probably much bigger than it really is.
It's probably like this big. But
oh my God.
What?
Just you said it probably looks just as all right. My mind went there for a second.
Oh my God, I'm so tired. I didn't realize it. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Oh my gosh.
Look at you get all wrong.
I know. I turn red all the time. That's my thing. But yeah, like the day-to-day relationship of, not wanting to be constantly at odds with your partner, not constantly arguing and yelling with your partner. Nobody wants that, right? But it is okay, to get mad, every once in a while.
Absolutely.
Don't put yourself in that box, but don't, be the aggressor all the time either.
Absolutely.
I think above and beyond, sometimes being the aggressor, coming from a feminine perspective, like you said, it throws a guy off. Because at that point, if you're exploding, you're in your masculine as a woman. And a guy's like, well, what do I do now? Like, what is this? What do I do with that? So, my last question is, in your opinion, what are the top 3 things that men find to be the most sexy or attractive in a woman?
So, low-quality men, your tits. It's all those the physical attributes, but for a high-quality man, it would be how you light up, like how you light up on the planet, like you are a mover and shaker. That it doesn't matter if you're famous or not. It's more like this. The way you smile and you light up other people, it's really being connected to your flow and knowing who you are. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily like walk around trying to be confident. It's more you can laugh at yourself when you make mistakes. So Katie, I'm putting you on a spot again. You're doing it. Like, this is a really, I don't know if before you started doing these summits, you thought maybe I got to do it a certain way, perfect. I don't know if you're that way. Maybe it's with me, but you're really flowing. This is fun. So if this is a dinner date, look how much fun we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Katie, we became friends really quickly, but it's kind of like that. this is like let's just imagine just a dinner date. We're having fun, and you share. It's
Sorry. My
go.
cat is in a basket on top of the shelves, and she just like made a noise. Sorry. Sorry, keep talking.
No, no. So it creates this kind of playfulness. The thing is that playfulness also elicits sexual polarity. You might meet a man who's just very stoic. I don't know if that's the type of man you want to be with, but I know most men who want passion, who like sex, they feel better when they're with a woman who is just happy and lit up. At the end of the day, we men are really serious. Most of us are. And I guess more masculine. I find myself making generalizations. I realize there's a different culture. There's different men out there who are more in the feminine spectrum. But I know men who are really trying to work and provide for the family are very serious. So when we see a woman light up and she's happy, she's able to see our life in ways better than we can. It happened last night in a conversation where it's not like I was lost, but there's some circumstances that are possibly changing with the mother of my child, and it wasn't like I need to jump on, and do things now. But my girlfriend said to me, she says, it's just interesting. It's like whenever something changes, it seems to fall on you. It's never a win-win for you. You just, right. And it's just, and she just shared that, and she said, I don't know if they recognize how much you're showing up. You're helping, like it's like say paying their rent, that has nothing to do. We were never married. This is her family. It's me helping her family. And I realized I'm like, it doesn't matter. My son's living there, and it's going to be better for everyone else. Because it seems like it falls on you. Just I would like you to be appreciated. And she was just sharing this with me. I was like, I felt supported.
Yeah.
I felt supported. And that's a way she was able to. She didn't problem solve.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I don't want a woman who is like in her head saying, this is what you need to do, Ray, blah, 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 blah. It's more like God feeling me and approaching me with this love, with just kind of, saying how well I'm doing already and helping me recognize myself, because I don't that often. In fact, I'm sometimes very hard on myself. Yeah. That made me feel good. I felt good. Who do you think got the credit in a way? She did.
That's beautiful. Yeah, she showed you a lot of love and appreciation in that moment.
And I felt, in a way, it was really my own love coming up.
Yeah.
And I felt good, just like with clients. I mean, I have had, female clients feel like they're falling in love with me, and they don't really know me.
Right.
It's how our experience makes them feel. Like they start feeling themselves connected to Source. Then the way they feel, they think that, it must be because of him. But no, it's because they're feeling something inside. So as a woman, if you have that ability to do that with a man, he's always going to want to be around you. He's going to want to spend quality time with you. He's going to want to talk to you throughout the day, because you're the source of, you're like his main feminine source. You light up his life. That's
beautiful. Well, on that note, I guess we'll end the interview. Thank you so much for joining us, Ray. And we'll catch you on the next interview, y'all.
All right.